According to a recent report by Goldman Sachs, artificial intelligence could automate up to 300 million full-time jobs. But here is the statistic that should terrify you. The industries with the highest exposure to automation are not manufacturing or logistics. They are legal and administrative support. We are looking at a potential 44% displacement in legal professions and 46% in administrative roles. Today, we are discussing the industry that sits right at the intersection of these two: management consulting. For decades, the business model of top-tier consulting firms, the Big Three or MBB, has remained unchanged. It is built on what we call the pyramid model or the leverage model. At the top, you have a few partners who sell the projects. At the bottom, you have an army of junior analysts, fresh graduates from Harvard, Oxford, or top MBA programs. These juniors are the engine. They charge clients by the hour to perform 3 specific tasks: research, data synthesis, and slide creation. This is where the model breaks. Generative AI has effectively reduced the marginal cost of these 3 tasks to 0. Let's examine the workflow. In a traditional consulting engagement, a client might ask, what is the market size for electric vehicles in Southeast Asia? A human analyst would spend 3 days scraping data from Bloomberg, reading industry reports, and manually inputting numbers into Excel. They would then spend another 2 days building a PowerPoint deck, formatting charts, and aligning text boxes. The firm bills the client for 5 days of work at, say, $500 per hour. Now look at the AI workflow. You upload the same industry reports into a large language model with a code interpreter. You ask the same question. The AI extracts the data, runs the regression analysis, and outputs a formatted table in 30 seconds. It does not get tired, it does not make calculation errors due to sleep deprivation, and it costs fractions of a cent. This creates an efficiency paradox for consulting firms. Their revenue model depends on billable hours. The longer a task takes, the more money they make. AI solves the problem too quickly. If a project that used to take 6 weeks can now be done in 2 days, the firm's revenue collapses by 90%. They cannot simply charge 20 times more per hour to make up the difference. The market will not bear it. Furthermore, consider the information asymmetry. Historically, consultants sold access to proprietary knowledge and frameworks. They knew things the client did not. Today, LLMs have democratized access to strategy frameworks like Porter's 5 Forces or SWOT analysis. A CEO can now open ChatGPT and ask, act as a strategy consultant, analyze my balance sheet, and suggest cost-cutting measures based on Lean Six Sigma principles. The output, while not perfect, is often 80% as good as what a junior consultant would produce in the first week, but it is instant and free. So the immediate victim is the junior analyst. The grunt work, the research, the formatting, the basic analysis is gone. If firms stop hiring juniors because AI does the work, they destroy their own talent pipeline. Who becomes the senior partner in 10 years if you don't hire any juniors today? This is not just a technological shift, it is a structural crisis. The entry-level white-collar job, the golden ticket for MBA graduates, is being automated out of existence.
For the last 50 years, the value proposition of a firm like McKinsey or BCG was built on information asymmetry. They knew things you didn't. They had proprietary frameworks, secret benchmarks, and access to industry data that was locked inside their black box. When a client paid millions of dollars for a strategy, they weren't just paying for smart people, they were paying for access to this gated knowledge. This is the second pillar that AI destroys, the democratization of high-level synthesis. Let's look at the mechanics of a typical consulting project, the expert interview. To solve a complex problem, a consulting team might interview 50 industry experts. Then a team of mid-level managers would spend weeks synthesizing those transcripts to find patterns. They look for the insight. This is pattern recognition. Historically, this was a uniquely human skill that justified high fees. Today, a large language model can ingest those same 50 transcripts in seconds. You can ask it, identify the 3 most common pain points mentioned by the experts, cross-reference them with our Q3 financial data, and propose a solution based on the theory of constraints. The AI performs this synthesis instantly. The black box is broken open. The process that used to justify a $500,000 fee is now a prompt away. This creates a massive economic problem for the industry called value deflation. Think about proprietary frameworks. Consultants love matrices, the BCG growth share matrix, the GE matrix. These used to be trade secrets. Now they are part of the training data for every LLM on Earth. A CEO doesn't need to hire a partner to explain Porter's 5 forces applied to the EV market. The AI can generate that analysis tailored to the specific company with 80% accuracy for 0% of the cost. This forces us to ask, what is the marginal cost of intelligence? In economics, when the supply of something becomes infinite, its price drops to 0. AI makes average-level strategy infinite. Therefore, the price of general strategic advice is crashing. The premium that consulting firms charge is evaporating because the baseline of competence has been raised for everyone. Furthermore, consider the middle manager or the engagement manager. Their job is quality control, checking the logic of the juniors and refining the story. But if the AI generates the logic and the story based on proven frameworks, the role of the middle manager becomes redundant. We are seeing the hollowing out of the firm. You don't need a pyramid anymore. You need a diamond shape, a few senior experts at the top using AI to do the work of the middle and bottom layers.
For a century, the consulting industry relied on a specific social contract called the apprenticeship model. You hire brilliant young graduates, overwork them for 2 years, and teach them the trade by osmosis. They learn by doing the grunt work, the slides, the Excel models, the interviews. This grunt work was not just labor, it was education. It was how a 22-year-old learned to think like a partner. But if AI does the grunt work instantly, the junior associate never learns. This creates a knowledge gap that cannot be bridged. If you automate the bottom of the pyramid, you destroy the foundation for the top. Where will the senior partners of 2035 come from? You cannot simply hire a 30-year-old and expect them to have the intuition of a seasoned consultant if they haven't spent 10,000 hours in the trenches. The ladder is broken. The firm eats its own future to survive the present. This leads us to the economic suicide of the business model. Consulting firms sell time. They bill by the hour or the week. AI is the enemy of time. It solves problems in seconds. To survive, firms must shift to outcome-based pricing, charging for the result, not the effort. But this is a trap. If the result, a market analysis or a cost-cutting plan, becomes a commodity that any AI can produce, the price of that outcome drops to near zero. We are moving toward a future of embedded intelligence. Instead of hiring McKinsey for a 6-month project, a Fortune 500 company will simply license a McKinsey fine-tuned model. They will run this model on their own internal servers. The consultant is no longer a person in a suit flying business class. It is a software license API call. The prestige, the travel, the high fees, they all evaporate into the cloud. So what is left for the humans? The industry optimists will tell you relationships and EQ. They argue that clients still need a human to hold their hand, to navigate internal politics, and to convince the board of directors. This is true, but it is a shrinking market. You don't need an army of thousands for hand-holding. You need a tiny boutique firm of 5 people. The massive global consulting armies with 30,000 employees are structurally obsolete. The verdict is painful. The profession of management consulting as a mass employer of elite talent is over. It will no longer be the default career path for the smartest MBA graduates. Why would top talent join a firm to oversee an AI when they could join the tech company building the AI? We are witnessing the deprofessionalization of strategy. Just as the internet killed the travel agent and automated trading killed the floor broker, generative AI is killing the generalist consultant. The era of the smart generalist is dead. The era of the integrated specialist has begun. And in this new era, the smartest person in the room is the room itself.